Star Wars The Force Awakens is a very difficult film to review. Where the original Star Wars was inspired by samurai films and serials like Flash Gordon, this Star Wars film is inspired by Star Wars and very much dependent on your familiarity with at least 4, 5, and 6, and doesn't necessarily answer all your questions, making a lot of what will make 7 great dependent on 8 and 9. With that in mind, however, my current standing on the film is The Force Awakens is fun, but flawed. It is worth noting that I've seen the film 3 times now, and upon the initial viewing I was a bit disappointed. However, upon repeated viewings I enjoyed it more and more. Because, we gotta admit, our favorite flavor of Kool-Aid is definitely nostalgia. And some could even argue that it's almost oversaturated with the stuff. I mean, the plot is very, very similar to A New Hope, with a little bit of Empire Strikes Back peppered in there. I'm going to spare you the list of similarities, as I feel that the nods are far from subtle, and you're all capable critical thinkers. Back to that nostalgia, however, you can see right from the beginning that the film is very much tailored to the fans. Customarily, the title crawl is cluing us into the political situation, but in this case it says, Luke Skywalker has vanished, right at the top. The movie knows who we've come to see and clues us into their whereabouts very quickly. That said, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but we actually needed a little more politics to clue us into what the situation was. Because unlike any of the previous films, it's not so clean as good guys, bad guys as it is good guys, bad guys, offshoots of good guys, and there's been like a 30-year gap in between. Just getting a little bit more information of like when the Knights of Ren showed up and destroyed the Jedi Temple, or when Luke went into hiding, or how the New Republic and the Resistance relationship is. All that information can be found online, but you have to do a bit of digging, and it seems a bit lazy for a film to be like, oh, go off and figure it out on your own. But then again, I suppose we all should have seen this coming, as J.J. Abrams is the co-creator of Lost, and he lives for making us all go crazy with questions. As far as direction goes, JJ actually really surprised me. I was expecting him stylistically and tonally to chase Star Wars much like he did with Super 8, but he put his own spin on things, and this film is easily the funniest Star Wars film we got, and it's very light on its feet, in part probably to JJ's TV background. In the past, I've definitely found his pacing to be a bit irksome. Like in Star Trek Into Darkness, nobody gets a moment to sit in a moment at all before running off to the next thing. But while things periodically are a bit hurried, I do feel that this film was more patiently made. Overall, things are both more visually and audibly dynamic. From snap zooms to rack focuses, and the Force now has a rumbly bass attached to it. That said, not everything in JJ's Star Wars universe fits. I know this is a wildly petty gripe, but the Rathtars that Han Solo was freighting around look more like goopy Men in Black aliens than the coarser creatures we've seen in Star Wars. And there's also a part of me that wishes that Lupito Nyong'o's character of Maz was a puppet, but, you know, motion capture is the future, or whatever. As far as character performances go, I have to say it's a really nice blend of old and new. The title crawl clued us into a lot of the old, then we're introduced to a lot of the new. We get to see the dynamics between these characters, and once we found ourselves to be attached to these new characters, that's when the old characters are reintroduced. And then really the whole game kind of steps up. I was definitely somebody who was a little bit nervous with having all the old cast coming back, but damn, Harrison Ford really can carry himself, and it's so nice to see him back as Han. And he got what he wanted! He finally got it, guys! Han Solo died! Like, he's wanted that forever, and it finally happened. And at the hand of his son, no less. That was one of those moments where JJ let things breathe, and the scene benefited. Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia is sadly sidelined, but I hope that she'll have a part to play, especially when dealing with Finn. Also, after watching a lot of interviews with her, I really want her to guest on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I feel that she would be so wonderful in that universe. Onto the new cast, I'm a huge fan of Oscar Isaac, so I'm glad to see him as the swaggering pilot Poe Dameron. And then there's John Boyega as Finn, who's my absolute favorite in this film. He's got a really interesting backstory, and he's not exceptionally great at any one thing, so he's got a lot of options open. And I'm a huge fan of John Boyega in general because he was from one of my favorite films of 2011, Attack the Block. If you guys haven't seen that, oh my god, it is such a fun alien invasion movie. Just check it out, it's a delight. As for Daisy Ridley, she's the big newcomer to the series, but perfectly embodies that yearning for adventure and sense of belonging that we first got with Luke. But I understand that some people have some issues with her character. I think the issue that a lot of people are having with Rey is that her competency is hit over the audience's head. So the more that we're told, did you know she can handle it? We're like, yes, we know. Why are you telling us this? That said, she does overcome obstacles very quickly, and if you break down a chart of any time that somebody's in peril and who saves them, Rey is never saved by anyone other than herself. Again, this goes back to the whole what episodes 8 and 9 hold will really kind of clear up what Rey's origin is, and what that explanation is will dictate whether or not we're okay with what we've got. In regards to Rey needing a chance to struggle, that actually ties in with an issue that I had with two other things, and that being Captain Phasma and that map. So this is another instance where we needed to do research. Apparently, according to J.J. Abrams and co-writer Michael Arndt, the reason that R2-D2 is in a coma is because he's sifting through his data files in searching for a map, because all the way back in A New Hope, when R2-D2 plugs himself into the Death Star, he stumbles upon part of the map that is leading to the Jedi Temple, but that one piece that Max von Sydow has is missing. So the Empire had this map forever, and R2-D2 just had it buried deep in the data. So R2-D2 is searching for that, and so it's not Luke sensing the Force and turning R2-D2 back on, or anything like that. It's R2-D2 just finding the file and being like, I got it, hey guys, I have it, which is a very unsatisfactory discovery, and nothing that is told to us in the film. Here's a small what if for you. So instead of the map being one large map with a missing puzzle piece, because that's just weird, let's have 3 pieces of the map. The Resistance is a piece, the First Order has a piece, and then there's the piece with BB-8. So the Resistance gets the piece that BB-8 has and goes, wait, when we overlay these, because it's an overlay, not a puzzle piece, when we overlay these, this still doesn't make sense. What is this? Meanwhile, while Rey is trapped on Starkiller Base, she overhears that they have a piece of the map. So once she then breaks herself free, she then goes to get the map, and that's when she encounters Captain Phasma. And Rey's like, hey, I'm starting to discover my powers, I'm really great, and Phasma's like, nah, I'm actually a badass too, and so there's a moment where Rey is up against the ropes. And at that moment, Han, Chewie, and Finn can save Rey. And something like that won't make you think, wow, Rey's a really incompetent character, because she's done a bunch of awesome stuff before. If your track record is 5 wins and 1 loss, I still think you're pretty competent. But yeah, despite her being very good, I'm not mad at Rey at all. I think Daisy Ridley's awesome. That said, I do feel that her final battle with Kylo Ren and the moment of the lightsaber coming to her doesn't have as much oomph as it could have if she didn't struggle a little bit more. If she's fighting off the idea of becoming a Jedi, then that moment of her calling a lightsaber is that much bigger. But it seems like she's really falling into using the Force, and so she's already accepted her fate and the lightsaber preemptively. On to Adam Driver, he's definitely somebody that grew on me with each viewing. I like that he has tantrums and is kind of a little bitch. He's got a lot of room to grow, an interesting backstory, and a really fun rivalry with General Hux. And guys, Donald Gleason has been killing it this year. Everything he's been in this year has been phenomenal, and it doesn't look like he's letting up anytime soon. It's just so nice having talented people attached to complex characters in a Star Wars movie again. Overall, while I may be a bit miffed with the retreading of plot with The Force Awakens, I am excited by all the new dynamic characters and relationships we have in store. Plus, since we burned through all that fan service, there is the hope that we won't be seeing much more of it in 8 and 9, so we're just getting a whole lot of new stuff. They wouldn't possibly do another Death Star, right? Sure, I might have given in to the nostalgia a bit, but I'm not going to be operating by internet extremes of best or worst movie ever. The movie's good, but it's got problems. Sure, I'm bothered by the planet conveniently separating Rey and Kylo Ren from one another, and yeah, I do feel that the two of them get a little too misty-eyed periodically, but I'd much rather be seeing our characters presenting some emotion than the wooden stiffness we've seen before. And I'm excited when Finn screams out, "That's one hell of a pilot," or when BB-8 gives a lighter thumbs up, because those moments capture the essence of Star Wars. And with any luck, The Force Awakens is the proper springboard for a new trilogy and a new generation of Star Wars fans. And in the meantime, for us to be theorizing Rey's origin and what the deal with Snoke is. Guys, what if he's that big? So those are my thoughts on Star Wars The Force Awakens. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, if you'd like more from me, you can certainly subscribe or check out my What If on Star Wars Episode 3 right there, or my breakdown of an exceptional scene from Jurassic Park right on there. So comment, click, and keep loving movies, guys. As for me, well, when I saw Star Wars the 3rd time, I saw it with my mom, and she had a few thoughts on Star Wars herself. Just to start out, did you enjoy the film?
Yeah, I did. I have to admit that I didn't start buying into it until I saw Han Solo. Mm-hmm. And once I saw Han Solo, then I was sold. And then, of course, when he was killed, I was devastated. Completely. Maybe Han Solo will come back like Obi-Wan came back to Luke. Maybe Han Solo will come back and talk to Leia. And I was really confused about who this girl was in the very beginning. And then I was really, really confused when she started acting like she had Jedi powers. And then I'm still trying to figure out whose daughter she is. She's got to be a daughter of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who felt that 4, 5, and 6 was so much of their being, which I feel it is, it's like part of me.
Mm-hmm.
7 is definitely like 4, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
I was very relieved to see that. It wasn't the garbage of 1, 2, 3.
And you're okay that it was kind of like very, very similar to 4, 5?
Yeah, because it's like an old friend. I need an old friend. You get to be my age, you need old friends, you know? Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.